Imagine yourself waking long before the sun has risen. The room around you is small and dim, the air cool against your skin. The faint gray light of early morning slips through a narrow window, revealing the outlines of a cramped worker's lodging. Perhaps you share this space with siblings or parents or other workers who arrived in the city seeking opportunity. Beds are simple wooden frames topped with thin mattresses. Blankets are coarse but warm enough to keep out the chill of the night. Outside, the city is only beginning to stir. Somewhere in the distance, a cot rattles over uneven stones. A horse snorts softly in the cold air. A baker's oven may already be glowing with warmth, sending the faint scent of bread. But another sound is approaching, a deep, mechanical cry that echoes across the rooftops. The factory whistle, it is loud and unmistakable for thousands of workers across the city. This sound marks the beginning of the day. You rise quickly, pulling on rough clothing designed for work, thick cotton or wool, often worn and patched from months of labor. Breakfast is simple. Perhaps a piece of bread, maybe porridge if supplies allow. There is little time for anything more, because factories operate by the clock, and the clock does not wait. Soon you step outside into the cool morning air. The streets are already filling with people moving in the same direction. Men in worn coats, women carrying small bundles, children walking quickly beside their parents. They all move toward the same destination. The factories, these buildings dominate the skyline of the industrial city. Tall brick structures with long rows of windows, massive chimneys releasing dark smoke, and inside row after row of machines. As you approach the factory gates, the atmosphere begins to change. The quiet murmur of the street fades beneath a deeper sound, a steady rumbling like distant thunder. This is the sound of industry. Inside the factory walls, powerful steam engines turn enormous belts and gears. Those belts run along ceilings and down walls, transferring motion to hundreds of spinning machines. The machines never truly sleep. They simply wait. When you enter the building, the sound grows louder. At first, it is overwhelming. A constant roar of spinning wheels and rattling metal parts. The air vibrates with motion. Conversations become nearly impossible unless shouted directly into someone's ear. But over time, workers grow accustomed to it. The noise becomes part of the rhythm of their lives. Much like the ticking of a clock, the factory floor stretches out before you. Long rows of textile machines fill the room from wall to wall. Wooden beams support the ceiling. Large windows attempt to bring in daylight, though soot from nearby chimneys often dims the light. Dust floats quietly through the air. Tiny fibers from cotton or wool drift upward as machines pull and twist raw material into thread. At the start of the Industrial Revolution, many factories focused on textiles. Cloth production had once taken place inside cottages. Now it happened on a massive scale. A single mill could produce miles of thread in a single day. But this efficiency required constant attention. Each worker was responsible for a section of machines. Your job might be to watch the spinning frames, tying broken threads back together, and threads do snap. Often, every time it happens, the machine must be adjusted quickly before the tangle spreads further down the line. This means constant movement, walking up and down the narrow aisles, leaning close to moving machinery, watching, listening, waiting. The shifts are long. In many Victorian factories, a typical workday lasts 12 hours or more, sometimes longer. There are short breaks for meals, but much of the day is spent standing. The rhythm of the machines rarely stops. Their turning becomes almost hypnotic. Spinning wheels, turning belts, clacking gears, over and over again. Outside, the sun slowly climbs into the sky. But inside the factory, the passage of time is measured less by sunlight and more by the steady turning of mechanical parts. Workers learn to pace themselves. Too much energy early in the day leads to exhaustion. Too little focus can lead to mistakes. And mistakes inside a factory can be dangerous. Victorian machinery is powerful, but it is not always safe. Protective guards and safety features are often absent here. Belts spin overhead at remarkable speed, metal gears mesh together with sharp precision, and workers must move carefully through narrow spaces. Accidents do happen. When they do, the factory briefly pauses, supervisors gather, and the machinery eventually resumes its steady motion. Life continues. The machines demand it. Among the workers are many young faces. Child labor was a common part of early industrial life. Children were often employed because of their small size and quick hands. They could crawl beneath machines to retrieve dropped materials. For families struggling to survive, the wages of a child, small though they were, could still make an important difference. Many children began work at an age when modern children would still be attending school. Their days followed the same pattern as adult workers. Long hours, loud rooms, endless repetition. Yet even in these difficult conditions, moments of quiet humanity still appeared. Workers sometimes developed small traditions to pass the hours. A familiar song hummed softly beneath the roar of machinery. A nod exchanged between coworkers. A brief smile shared during a meal break. These simple gestures created small islands of comfort. Despite the noise, the dust, and the long hours, the rhythm of work continued day after day. Morning whistle, turning machines. Evening whistle. When the final whistle finally sounds, signaling the end of the shift, the factory doors open once again. Workers step outside into the fading light of evening. The sudden quiet can feel almost strange after a day inside the thunder of machines. The air outdoors feels fresher, the sky wider, but exhaustion settles heavily across the body. Feet ache, hands feel stiff from constant motion, and tomorrow the same routine will begin again. Yet this demanding system of labor was also shaping something much larger. Entire cities were growing around these factories. Railways expanded to carry goods across continents, and powerful entrepreneurs were rising men who saw opportunity in steam engines, spinning machines, and mass production, men who would soon become some of the most influential figures of the 19th century. And as the smoke from the factory chimneys drifts slowly across the Victorian skyline, our story now begins to shift toward those ambitious individuals who helped create this new industrial world. But we will move there slowly, because every great transformation in history begins with ordinary people living ordinary days beneath the turning wheels of change.